Welcome to the best gambling show on the internet. This is the home of the money pick. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Hope everyone is having a great Friday. I'm feeling pretty good off a blistering week last week. The last 2 weeks, we've been doing pretty damn well. Hoping it continues. There are some tough situations this week. I wasn't happy with the way the Lions injury report broke today, but we should have Laporta. What's up, Afro? What's up, Calvin Jones? What's up, Mike Stacks? Mike, you want to be careful. Like last week, you pretty much bet contrary to what I bet. Like you had the Cowboys last week. So I'd be careful with some of those games. I'm just saying, like, I agree with you on the Minnesota one, agree with you on the Miami one. I don't know if I could advise anyone to put any sort of money on the Pats. And I don't know, man, like Jags -4. I don't know. Like favorites have been winning more than normal recently, but shout out to Mike Stacks. Mike Stacks is awesome. What's up, J-Sap? What's up, Ben? What's up, Calvin? I'm curious to see why you like Seattle, Calvin. For me, man, I'm looking at Burrow right now, and I think he's at full health. I think he's at full health. I'm not saying he's going to be like he was last year or anything like that, but I think he's as good as he can possibly be. I was seeing him throwing. He was rolling out in practice, throwing off one leg, which is something we haven't seen. So, yeah, man, I'm optimistic about the Bengals this week. I mean, the stat guys loved the Cardinals last week. That was kind of like the one thing I took from last week. Stat guys like the Cardinals. They did get me a little bit nervous because we know how the Bengals offense has struggled. But also about the Seahawks, like I like the Seahawks offense, but there are some things that are concerning me about the Seahawks. Like, firstly, I'm a little bit concerned about their defense. And everyone was concerned about their defense before the Giants game. And then they beat up on a Giants offensive line that can't block anything. And then we're supposed to think the Seattle defense is good. Also, one thing that was a strong point of Seattle last season, in my opinion, was their offensive line was pretty damn good last year. Surprise, I didn't think it would be. But their offensive line was good last year. They're not doing too well this year. A credit to Seattle for beating Detroit. Detroit turned it over 3 times. They moved the ball up and down the field, turn it over 3 times. Seattle won the turnover battle. Credit to them. I just don't think the Bengals are going to give them free turnovers. But that's probably the game of the week for me, man. What's up, RG? What's up, Matt Hart? What's up, Matt Stallworth? I saw you in here first. Yeah, and JP, I kind of agree. Just because you need a win doesn't mean you win. I never really liked that stuff. I'm trying to think of like another example of that type of stuff. What's up, Prestige? I'm trying to think of an example. Like, for instance, people are saying, well, the Lions are due to lose this week. Okay. Or like I said last week, I'll butcher myself. Oh, the Eagles can't cover every spread, right? And listen, I don't think the Eagles are playing even close to their full potential. But I even said last week, oh, the Eagles can't cover every spread, right? Well, no, they cover every single week, no matter how bad or good they play. The Rams-Cardinals game, I see you guys discussing it. I see you guys discussing it in the chat. Yeah, I don't want to bet that game. And you guys know I like the Rams. Like, I think Matt Stafford's playing at an extremely high level. The receiving core is starting to look really nice and really balanced. Higbee's a good tight end. They're getting the ball out of Stafford's hands quick, so the offensive line hasn't suffered. Obviously, the Cardinals don't have a good pass rush. They do have a good blitz package this year so far, so we got to give them credit on that. It's just, I don't know, man. That's one I don't like. Like, I feel like 7 is an awful lot. And then I would just pose a question to you guys, like, are all the favorites going to cover and win this week? Because I don't think they will. And that's not a good, and that's obviously me not giving a good reason not to bet the Rams. I feel like the Rams should be a teaser option. I don't know why we need to overthink it. Also, if you're looking at the Niners right now, unfortunately, that bad boy's up to 10. I mean, that was one I was looking at a teaser option. Man, Niners game opened at like -3. There's people on Patreon pounding that drum even when they felt like Deshaun Watson would play. This sticks. YouTube is blocking your comments, man. I had to go and look at, where they hide the comments. I had to go to that section and they're blocking your comments, man. So I don't know what's going on with that. I'm not sure why. So just wanted to say what's up, Sticks. Pat's upset. Yeah, okay, but DH, I got to address something you said. Okay. You said the Lions will regress. Like, what does that necessarily mean? Like, you don't have them winning the NFC North. Obviously, they're going to lose more games this year. They're not going to go like 16-1. I'm not saying anything like that. But that just kind of sounded like what I heard all year last year. The Lions aren't good. The Lions are trash. Sharps are on the team opposite against the Lions. Sharps are making a killing betting against the Lions. Yeah, the whole year pretty much bet them every week. They finished like 12-5 against the spread. And that's kind of what they keep doing this year. They just show up. They play decent football. Their defense is a lot better. I mean, that's the thing that is different with the Lions. Now, I do agree that this Tampa Bay matchup is tricky. I do think we could see some surprises, but I don't know, man. I don't know if Tampa's going to be able to throw the ball. And certainly, judging by what we've seen on film so far this year, are we so certain the Buccaneers can run the ball at all? Now, the rookie branch is out. Like, I know everyone's talking about Jalen Carter as Defensive Rookie of the Year. Look, I'm not going to argue against that, but Branch in the Lions secondary, I think, has been my best Rookie of the Year on the defensive side. He's out of that game. Gibbs is out of that game for the Lions. But overall, if they have Laporta, St. Brown, I think the Lions move the ball on offense. And I think the Lions have a coaching advantage in that game. Now, could the home field, could the Florida Heat change that? Yeah, it's risky, but that's why it's gambling. And that's why we're getting them at -3 now. Yeah, I can't trust the Pats. I watched that Saints game last night, and my Atlanta, that was about as bad as it gets. I've seen a lot of bad performances. Grew up where I would get the Jets, Bills, and Giants on TV every weekend. I started watching NFL when I was 5, and I would get those 3 teams every weekend. So I know bad football when I see bad football. And that was some of the worst football I've ever seen from the Pats, like regardless of team, regardless of coach. And now we're even talking about Bill Belichick getting fired this year. So, and thank you, Dave. Thank you, Dave. Yeah, I prolonged the haircut a little bit. The barber I go to takes like 2 hours to do it. So, who has time, right? Lone, do you think the Bills defense takes a step back without Matt Milano? Yeah. Firstly, I think this is a great question from you. And secondly, I think like Matt Milano is criminally underrated. For instance, last year, I don't have an advanced statistic to back this up, but I think he was one of the best blitzing linebackers in the league, and we know that can cause chaos and havoc. Firstly, I'll say that, but he's also phenomenal in coverage. And, the Bills let Tremaine Edmonds go during free agency, and it hasn't reared its ugly head yet. But without Matt Milano, I do feel like this Bills defense is due to get beat down. Like, I do worry for this Bills defense right now. And I don't know what your guys' power rankings are looking like. I'm not talking about like the power rankings like ESPN does. Like, I'm talking real betting power rankings. But I got the Bills like 4 or 5 right now, man. And I got the Dolphins ahead of them. I got the Chiefs ahead of them. I got the Niners ahead of them. And a big reason is because of their decimation on defense, man. They just got absolutely decimated. Like, that Jacksonville game was absolutely horrendous. How many players did they lose? And did Von Miller even look all that good when he came back? Now, I'm not judging Von Miller. Obviously, once Von Miller gets his win and gets his lungs right, he's going to dominate. But like you said, like, Matt Milano is maybe one of the best linebackers in this league at this point, especially in his versatility. And then you get to the secondary, Tre'Davious White looks like he's out for the year. The 2 safeties are old as fuck. Poyer and Hyde are awesome, but how long can they keep going? And that was part of the death spiral that happened to Buffalo last year when Poyer and Hyde got beat up. And that was part of the decline. I focused on Josh Allen, but that defense fading was a big part of it. So, yeah, Joe, I don't blame you for having the Bills at 3. I don't blame you. I just would have the Dolphins ahead of them. But like you guys see, I don't really get emotional. The least I get emotional, I feel like the better we are. I mean, because the emotional stance, I'm not saying, Joe, you're getting emotional. I was just saying the emotional stance is to say, Buffalo beats the shit out of Miami. Obviously, the Bills are better. I mean, but there's a wide variety of variables in a game. And I want to see what the Bills do once they go down to Miami. I was worried about Miami a little bit, after the game. But once I took a deep breath, I was like, okay, I like where Miami's going. Jalen Ramsey back next month, a month ahead of schedule. I'm liking what the Dolphins are doing, man. Yeah, bodyguard, how are the Giants going to score? Now, is Daniel Jones ruled out? My impression was he was going to play. That was my impression. I don't know what's your guys' vibe. I didn't see official injury report get released. Like I saw the Vikings release theirs. I saw the Lions release theirs. I saw the Colts release theirs, but did not get to look at the Giants. Jones is out. Wow. What a game on Sunday Night Football. Aren't you happy we get to watch the New York Giants in primetime again? I mean, that's one reason why everyone's so hyped about Seattle this week. I mean, you only get one game on Monday night, and you see Seattle sack a quarterback 11 fucking times, and how can you not think the defense is good? Like, how can you not? I mean, because we are all victims from what we saw recently, right? So, yeah, Tyrod used to be pretty decent, man. I remember when he took the Bills to the playoffs for the first time in like 17, 18, 19 years. But yeah, those days are long past, and he doesn't even have the mobility he used to have. I'm going to get to the Patreon questions. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Shout out to everyone on Patreon, $5 a month. Listen, I might do a video tonight on Patreon for the bats. We'll see, man. We'll see. Okay, let's get to the Patreon questions. Do want to say hi to some people on the live YouTube chat, though, before I get to it. What's up, Break? Yeah, man, I love JP. What's up, Gabe? No more Denver Giants on primetime again. Well, I pray. It's bad, man, and I love watching football. Like I said on Instagram last night, I got joy. Like, I watched last week, Wednesday night, preparing for the Friday bats. I watched Denver versus the Bears at midnight, and I enjoyed it. I am not lying. Of course, it's something I need to do for what we do here. I try to watch every game every single week, but I actually enjoyed it. Like, I had a good time watching it. Like, I had a good time watching pretty much every game this year. But there's something about these primetime games that are rolled up into a gigantic ball of shit. and I can't really put my thumb on it. Like that game last night with the Chiefs Broncos was terrible, man. It's just okay. I'll get to Dog Pound Dish before I get to the Patreon questions because I like the name. Everyone loves a little bit of alliteration. Dog Pound Dish. What do you think about Browns plus 10? Physical man coverage, heavy defense against Purdy in the wind and rain. Well, my question is, what are the exact weather conditions? I would just tell you to stay away from it, to be completely honest, because listen, no one rates the Browns higher than me, but there are some concerns when you look at this game. Will Myles Garrett be a factor? Everyone told me that Micah Parsons would be a factor against the 49ers. Obviously, Myles Garrett plays the run game better than Micah Parsons does, so I'm not trying to cast any aspersions, but the best way to take a defensive end out of the game is you run the ball right down their throat. And that's exactly what the 49ers are going to do. And I think the 49ers are able to run it. Now, this Browns defense is phenomenal, but I'm going to go a little bit to the emotional side of this. I don't know where the locker room's at right now. Because you remember Stefanski, I think it was like maybe 10 days ago. He was like, well, the doctors cleared Deshaun. He held himself out. And, we're hearing like first this injury was going to be a week. Now it's going to be 2 weeks. Now we got Browns beat reporters saying 2 to 6 weeks. You would think Deshaun would be ready after the bye. I just don't think the offense is going to be able to do anything. That's the problem. I don't think the offense is going to be able to do anything. And maybe I'm still a little bit butthurt because I got railroaded by Deshaun Watson saying he was going to play the Friday before the Ravens, and then he doesn't play. David Njoku damn near burns his face off Friday afternoon. He's playing on Sunday, blocking big linebackers and defensive ends. I don't know, man. I think that locker room might be lost. Like, I hate to say it. I'm high on the Browns. I thought they could steal this division. Everyone was saying Steelers could steal it. I felt like the Browns could steal it, but I think those days are done, man. I think the locker room's out. Defense is just like, all right, man, like, fuck this. And yeah, he did throw Deshaun Watson under the bus. But I don't think I don't know why Deshaun Watson was saying he was going to play Friday afternoon. And then, Sunday morning he doesn't play. Then we get a bye week, he doesn't play. It's a bone bruise. Like, we got Carr playing with an AC joint that is jammed. I don't know if you guys ever had that, but it basically locks your shoulder and it hurts to lift it up above this. Yeah, Browns are fucked, man. Yeah, I just don't think we can bat it. 10 is an awful lot, though, against the top 5 defense. Young OG, do you support anyone, subscribe to anyone that offer picks that you follow and are legit? I play player props, bro, trying to get more info of spreads, money lines. No, I don't. Because you have to judge it for yourself. So for me, I try to just watch the games myself. I don't try to read a lot of comments. Like, I don't turn on ESPN. I do watch the Pat McAfee show, but they're not really like giving like picks or anything. Nah, man, that's kind of what we do on my page. So yeah, man. Okay. R. Brown, laugh out loud. Broncos line moved to 11 for a while, then back to 10.5, gave them 12.5 juice. Let's go. Yeah. Well, yeah, degen bet, but I'm happy you picked up some money on that. What a junk game. Under tonight hit, though. Yeah. Yeah, man, you guys are crazy about Thursday night, but 4-2 this year on Thursday night. Took that L last night by a point. I don't know. Canyon Wiz. Hey, Lawson, cannot make the show on Friday due to school, but I'm sure by now you know the game. Let's cook up a 4-game, 13-point teaser. These hit so often for us. Can you reply to my comment with it? Yes, I will. Just for you, my friend. Appreciate it. Matthew Stallworth, Lawson, how do you approach strong takes on dogs money line? Single back, two-teamer. We riding heavy with you, brother. Stumbled across your page just this season by accident. I've been rocking with you ever since. Keep it up. We will see each other on the other side. Money. Yeah, for me, if I'm betting underdog on money line, I'm just betting that, like, okay, here's what I would do. When I bet a dog on money line, so let's say we got the Colts +4, my biggest bet will be on the spread regardless. I am not doing any parlay with it. I'm not doing anything of those lines. I would probably put 80% of the bet on the spread, 20% on money line if you're very confident. Like, if you're chasing something that's bigger, like, let's throw out an example. I don't think this will happen, but let's throw out an example with a few more points. Let's go Jets +7. That I would approach quite a bit different because for instance, like, I wouldn't put that much on money line if it's like 7 points unless I knew something Vegas didn't. So yeah, man, if it's like a Colts +4, I'm going 80-20, if you understand what I'm saying. I hope I answered your question. But yeah, money line with underdogs is tricky. It is very tricky. I mean, because we've been shooting quite a few this year on the Tuesday video. We have. It's just knowing how much to bet. I'll always lean to betting more with the spread. But I'm a cautious person, man. So that's where I'm at. Okay, here we go. Let's get to Christian. John, could you post all the picks for this week, including over-under on here that you post on YouTube, and highlight the money picks for Patreon users? But I did the videos already, Christian, and a lot of them, like, a lot of the picks, I don't know. I'm one of the few people who picks every game. A lot of those games, like, they're 50-50 for me. But I will reiterate the money picks on Patreon for you because I don't always bet the money picks. Actually, it's very rare. I'll just go bet all the money picks. Maybe week 1 because I have so much time to get a read on week 1. Yeah, I'll do that, man. But Christian, you got to understand, I have crazy people on Patreon. Like, I have crazy people, and I say that in the most nice way. They want to bet $50,000 on every single game, and some of these games you just shouldn't be betting. And it's tough for me to go say that to people. Like, look at how much money the Patreon users put on a Thursday night football game. One of the worst Thursday night football games on the docket of the year. People were pounding it. So, yeah, man, I have to be careful, man, because, you know, everything I post, I just assume $100,000 is moving in that direction. I'm not trying to act like I'm some sort of Christian saint or like, you know, I'm like the fucking Pope and I have like this type of social responsibility or anything like that. But I assume every single bet I put on Patreon, there is $100,000 up at stake. As long as, and I bet big. So every bet on Patreon, I put big. There's a lot of games like I want to bet big on. Like, for instance, like that's why the money pick exists on Tuesday's video. But I see what you're saying. Let me think about it. Over-unders are fucking crazy too, by the way. It's like either I'm 12-4 or I'm like 6-8 or I'm 6-9. There's just no in between with them. We've been good on over-unders this year, but I hate betting them. I don't know about you guys. I just hate betting them. And also the player props. The player props are either you go 6-0 or you go 2-4. I just feel like there's like no in between. But let me think about it, man. Thank you, September. Thank you. Yeah, man. I'm sweating it. It's like 92 degrees here today. Yeah, man. And Calvin, yeah, us to eat. And like, man, and like I said, like, if I have a bad week, bro, I feel like shit for like 4 fucking days. So I try to avoid that, like, cause yeah, man, there's been weeks went like 4-1 on the money picks, and the rest of the YouTube bets were off. Yeah, so I do that, then I should open myself up to get fucking shrapnel. At DH, I like the Texans this week as well. I like the Texans this week as well. I don't have that much good evidence for it though. Derek, hey bro, what are your thoughts on this 7-point teaser? Any games you take off? Miami -6.5. I like it. San Fran 0. Yes, I like it. Although that San Fran's up to 10, I would still advise you to take it at -3. Philadelphia money line, Buffalo -7. I just probably take off Philly. No, actually, the mathematical thing to do, I'm going to play the math right now, Derek. I would take off Buffalo -7. Listen, I think they win the game by fucking 20 points. But we have to play math here, and we have to play statistics at a certain point when you're doing a 7-point teaser. So I'd take the Buffalo off. I would stick with the 49ers +0. If you have to move like the 49ers down from 10, then leave Buffalo on there and take San Fran off, if you understand what I'm trying to say. Uwezo Ross. Hey, Lawson, let's get this money. Hello, Mr. Ross. Always great to see you, bro. Always great to see you. Brian DePaul. Happy Friday, everyone. I hope you're having a great Friday, Brian. Lawson, you mentioned Watson losing the Browns locker room because of the injury. This is your gut feeling, or you find some substantial evidence? Also, can you see this being an internal issue? 2 years ago, Baker was cleared for duty every week with that bum shoulder. How did that turn out? You guys remember on that Monday night game? We had a little bit of money on it, and Kevin Stefanski made Baker Mayfield throw it 60 times. No, not 50, not 40, 60 times when he had that bum shoulder. With that being said, Browns +points, setting up the public for a letdown. Yeah, man, I don't advise anyone San Fran -10 this week. So when I picked it at the time on Tuesday, it was -5. A lot of people on Patreon were chasing it since it's -3. But yeah, when it gets up to -10, it's a completely different story. Brian, you kind of laid out why I think I have evidence the Browns locker room is just done. Firstly, I read Buddy Ryan's book about when he was a defensive coordinator in the league. And he's actually a man who punched an offensive coordinator. It's a little bit before our times, but let's just say like these things simmer, and these are competitive people, as we all know. So man, I've seen teams fall apart when the offense is complete shit and the defense is balling, and then people pocket watch. As bad as that sounds, people do in NFL locker rooms, in a regular job in Walmart. People look at who's getting paid most. Deshaun Watson is getting paid most, and when you get a coach throwing him under the bus, like a lot of you guys said on the comment section, obviously he didn't say that for his health, or he didn't say that to protect Deshaun Watson. He said that because it's disappointed, and I think the locker room was disappointed. And, if you were a Browns bettor that day, weren't you a little bit disappointed? Guy says Friday afternoon he's going to play. Sunday morning he's out. And that's where I'm at. And I do think it's simmering, man, because that defense is really, really fucking good. We got some really good defenses in the league this year. Jets, 49ers, Browns. But every defense needs a little bit of complementary football. I mean, fuck, man. The Browns gave up 27 points to the Ravens. But if you watch that game, you saw how the offense was just giving the ball to the Ravens, turning it over, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. That's what destroys a locker room. And Brian, I know I'm in the minority, but that's why we were winning bets with the Browns early in the year. I'm in the minority here. I think the Browns are fucking good. I think they're fucking good. That's why we bet the Browns when everyone's betting the Bengals week 1, and we won by a 20 spot. I think the Browns are good. So obviously there's guys in that locker room are like, okay, like I want to win a division. I want to fucking do something. I want to look good. Who looks good for their next contract getting fucking steamrolled by 20 points by the Baltimore Ravens? Who lost to the Steelers last week? Who looks good doing that? Like, who wants to look like shit? No one does. No one does. Yeah, I mean, no one does. And yeah, that's where I'm at. Like, who wants to look like shit? And who's going to just swallow their pride and, not have a little bit of malice? I mean, in the Ravens game, the backup quarterback, he fucking ran for 5 yards. He turns around. He throws it 10 yards behind. Like, that's the type of stuff we were seeing in that game. Borderline unprofessional shit. So yeah, man, once it gets unprofessional, I think that's where the locker room swings. Yeah, and I do think everyone cautioning everyone on the 49ers -10 is right. Because I just think the Browns are really good. It's just, you give the biggest quarterback contract in the world, then he's out with a bone bruise in his shoulder. Well, I mean, I think Geno Smith had a similar injury last year. I didn't really slow him down. Okay, anyways. Good question, Brian. Yeah, I don't have any proof. Like, I don't have a friend on the Browns. What's happening, Lawson? You feel it's better to bet singles or parlays? Or is that just a personal preference? No, it's a mathematical preference, Jeremy. Singles are always better. You could give me the best gambler in the world. If he's only betting 5-team parlays, he's going to lose money. He's going to lose money. And a single bet, even if it's a bad single bet, it's 50-50. Normally, we look to get edges on games, so it's 60-40 in our favor. And if you do that enough times, you're going to make money. But betting parlays, for instance, an 8-team parlay, which a lot of people play, 8-team even money parlay, that has a 1.8 or 2% chance of hitting. It is almost like playing the lottery at a certain point. I did do a video on it where I broke down. So let me give you an example. You imagine a sports book. You imagine a Vegas casino. Think about all their profits, all their revenue that they make. 35% of that comes from parlays. We're not talking table games. We're not talking blackjack. We're just talking 35% of their revenue comes from parlays. 2 or 3% comes from single bets. And they've had years where they've lost on single bets before, my friend. So, food for thought. And when they show the commercials, are they advertising single bets? Or are they advertising ridiculous 10-leg parlays like FanDuel? Why are they pushing the parlays if it's good for you? They don't necessarily push stuff that's good for you. We live in a society that is sick. The Hound. Lawson, my dude, what are your thoughts on the Chiefs right now? If the Broncos had any kind of offense, they probably would have lost that game last night. They're 5-1, but could have easily been 3-3 at this point. Let's make some money this weekend. Hound, I agree with you. And they did not look too good against my Minnesota Vikings. I'm not going to argue about that pass interference call to end the game. But most people did think that was a pass interference, would have gave the Vikings the ball on the 1-yard line. Vikings would have won the game. Probably, right? And I'm looking at a Chiefs team, and like I said before the year, I got flamed for it. They're 5-1. You win, you get to talk shit, but I'll reiterate my opinion. I don't think there's good enough receivers on this team. We're not seeing guys like Sky Moore, Rashid Rice develop how we thought they would or how the media thought they would. And at a certain point, it's just Travis Kelce and then a bunch of below average dudes. They're below average. Like Kadarius Toney isn't like an average wide receiver in this league, for instance. Just to give an example. So I think that's part of the issue. And the defense has looked mighty good so far this year. But isn't it kind of easy to look good against Russell Wilson? Like I said, like the Chiefs defense looked pretty good against my Vikings. But Vikings had the ball to win the game and probably should have got a penalty to get the ball at the 1 yard line. I am impressed by the Chiefs pass rush so far this year, but my Vikings are an absolute mess. I'm just going off the last 2 games. I don't think the Chiefs are going to win the AFC. I'll tell you that right now. Maybe that is me getting emotional. Maybe that is me getting over dramatic, but I don't think they win it. Did I miss a super chat? I can't scroll up. Can't scroll up, man. Okay, here we go. Okay. Yeah, if I missed a super chat, someone let me know because that's kind of fucked up if I missed one because normally there's a bar where I can just switch over. Yeah, this is really good radio or TV right now, me looking for the super chat like a boomer. Okay. I don't know. Maybe I'm not getting. Okay, here we go. Ray Rouse. On Monday, 98% of the money was on the Packers against the spread. Yet line moved from Raiders +1 to -2. What significance, if any, do put on reverse line move? It means guys like us are pounding it. It means guys like us are pounding it at high stakes. That's what happened in the Browns game, in a way. 80% of the money was on the Titans. We were on the Browns, and spread didn't shift, but the spread has shifted that way for the Raiders a few times, like the Raiders-Steelers game. But I don't know if 98% of the against the spread money was on the Packers. Like, I don't know if it was that significant. I think it was probably like 75, 78%. I am kind of surprised about that. I will go check and see if it was 98%. I don't think we've ever had anything like it so far. I think the biggest one was 91% this year. But like I said, I could be wrong, and people bet Monday night more than other games. Also, could you possibly open a chat thread on Patreon for each primetime game for input from members? Yes, Ray, that's a brilliant idea. That is a brilliant idea, Ray. I will. I made sure I did that on Thursday night last night. I'll keep doing it. Because, yeah, man, on these primetime games, even if I'm not betting, I do like to come on and see what you guys have to say. Especially the Sunday night games. The Sunday night games are always good, except this week. But it would have been nice to see your reaction of us winning that bet last Sunday night, 49ers against the Cowboys. Alan Corrales, Mr. Lawson, Browns +12. What are your thoughts? Everybody is buying the 49ers. Browns at least cover. Vegas is not going to lose so much money. Yeah, like I get what you guys are saying. It's just like I had to watch this. Okay, here's what I'm going to say to you. And I appreciate the question. And yes, we have to go with our preseason rankings. We got the Browns higher than other people. That's how we win money in this. I completely get it. But it's just at a certain point, the quarterback play could be too bad for that game to be close. I talked about it ad nauseum, but I just think it's too dangerous to bet. And I do like 12. Is that 12 now? Can someone give me the spread of the Browns game? I have it open, but it's not loading. Daniel, aren't the Browns already back down to reality? But I want to see some of these. I want to see the Ravens beat the Browns if Deshaun Watson is out there, for instance. Yeah, man. So RG, when you guys want me to go live so we can live bet? We did that on when they had Saturday games. We went 3-1 on live bets. If you guys want to do it, I'll do it. It will destroy my algorithm, but I'm willing to do it, and it's fun. And then you guys give me ideas. Because I actually don't live bet as much as I used to. I will admit, I do think we're good at it. But it's better to be around people when you do it because live betting can get out of control. Okay, Browns are 9.5. Yeah, Alan, I'm not seeing the advantage you're getting there. Like, I'm not seeing it. Yeah, guys, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate you guys. Yeah. Okay, Calvin, this is a good question. Lawson, does it make a difference? Ravens been in London close to a week. For me, okay, I'm going to give you my opinion. For me, no. For me, Calvin, imagine you an NFL player. Now, I have interest in England. Like, I like the soccer, whatnot, but listen, it's cold, it's rainy, the food isn't all that good. NFL teams have had problem with things like food poisoning, because obviously our stomachs are different. And then also they've had problems with toilet paper there. So obviously the Ravens played there before and they planned for that. And I understand, like, some guys have said they went in Friday and they just like didn't acclimate. They just didn't get up for the game. But for me, my strategy would be what the Titans did. Leave Thursday night, sleep on the plane, go through a walk through Friday, get in, get the fuck out as fast as possible. I don't think it helps you staying there long term. I'm more worried about the turf they got the dudes playing on. They finally figured out the Wembley turf, and then they were playing in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, Bills and Jags, and both teams said that the field was just fucking dangerous. It was just fucking dangerous. And so I'm more worried about the field. And if we're talking bad field conditions, give me the Titans in a nasty, ugly game. And that Jags-Bills game was a nasty, ugly game. Even though you have two offenses who like to throw it deep and two more or less finesse teams. And J.J. Watt said when the Texans looked at the data, they said it actually favors leaving Thursday night like the Titans did. I mean, no one has found the conclusive data on it, but I'm actually more on J.J. Watt's side, even though I'm not a huge fan of him. But I think he might be right about that. But yeah, I think it's more up to what you guys feel. Whew. Okay. Man, I do think this is an interesting week for teaser. It seems like the emoji you use makes you seem like you're disappointed. I get it. Teasers can be frustrating, but I guess we have to embrace it. I was thinking about maybe 2 teasers this week. Like, I think the Rams are an option. I mean, the 49ers were an option until the spread exploded. So, yeah, man, I think this week is a teaser week, and I think you're in the right direction. Yeah, I will get back to the teaser video, man, because I've been debating if I'm going to do a player prop video or get back to the teasers. I just didn't want to mess with the algorithm early in the year because obviously not everyone's interested in teasers. But now that we're getting to week 7, I'm going to do it. And thank you, man. Thank you, Giovanni. I appreciate it, man. Okay, here we go. Let's get to, but good question, Ray Rouse. You're always on the ball, my man. And good question, Alan. Prestige. Hey, Lawson, I missed out on San Fran at 4.5 due to being in California. Couldn't make it to Vegas in time. How can I capitalize on this game still? I have these scenarios: 6-point teaser, San Fran -3.5, Philly -1, or same game parlay, San Fran money line, San Fran over 6.5 points in the first half, San Francisco spread plus a half a point, San Fran team total points over 16.5. Deebo Samuel receiving yardage over 35 puts the same game parlay all the way to 165. Prestige, I like the same game parlay more. I'm sure that was tough for everyone to digest at home, but I like the same game parlay more. But man, I got to tell you, and this is a question to you guys out on the YouTube chat. It's tough to fucking read the Eagles at this point, right? Is it just me, or is it tough to read them? I even got Eagles fans saying to me, like, listen, this team isn't playing good this year. I don't know how they're covering and winning every game. So I would go the same game parlay, especially if you can kick that up to plus 165. We all should have been listening to the guy on Patreon. I think his name was Cora Shot. For the last 3 weeks, he's been telling us to bet Niners -3 against the Browns. I mean, he's been a one-man army trying to promote that. But yeah, I'd go to same game parlay, but I think both are valid options for me, man. And what's up, Prestige? Hope you're having a good week, my man. Okay, here we go. Charles Kaiser, Lawson, Browns 10-point home dog. You got to take the Browns, don't you? Are we married to the Browns? Charles, I love you, my man, but are we married to the Browns? I know we won a lot of money off the Browns the last 4 seasons. Like, I understand it. We've won not as much as we won with the Lions the last 2 years, but we won a lot with the Browns. I just don't think it's something we need to force. Like, I got some good plays coming tonight. Like, I think we can take a deep breath and stay out of that game. Gabe Hemmer. Lawson, did you catch the end of the second quarter last night? Oh, I did. Denver got sacked with 22 seconds left on 3rd down, and they called a timeout. Then punted it to Kansas City, turns into a 15-second drive, ending in a field goal. The thing that makes you think. How are we feeling about Philly on the road this weekend? Thinking about using them in Survivor. I still have Buffalo, but thinking to save them since Philly has a rough schedule moving forward. About Survivor, I don't know, man. I don't know why I think the Jets can make. Listen, man. I think Eagles will win the game. I think Eagles will win the game. I've been more obsessed about this +7 all week with the Jets. I have been. I will admit, I've been thinking about this game an awful lot. But Philly will win the game. So I'm not going to give you any contrary advice there. And then also about that timeout in that Broncos game. I'm not saying it was fixed or anything. Like, listen, but I do think Sean Payton's in over his head. You guys remember when he was sending shots at Nathaniel Hackett earlier in the offseason? And then, like, he's doing worse than Nathaniel Hackett's doing. For me, man, it's up to you to decide. But I think it's very, very safe that we see another coach 1 and out, man. Like, we saw Hackett out 1 and out. I mean, he might be joining the likes of Jim Tom Sula, Stevie Wilkes down in Arizona. He might be joining that prestigious group. Wasn't Chip Kelly 1 and done? City Bird, $2. Is Public going to take it on the chin this week? Well, thank you for the super chat, first of all. Well, let's go look at what the Public is doing. I looked at this Tuesday. I was talking to JSOP, a guy who is very good at over-unders. I was talking to him. So we were talking about some of the distribution on Tuesday. Let me see. Betting patterns, Vegas Insider. Let's go see what everyone is doing. because you guys like to think about this. I try not to think about it too much. Although 1 week, like the public was so against me, it was ridiculous. Like public was like 85% on the Titans, 50, and I was on the Browns 15%. Like, so I don't try to let this affect my bets, but let's see what they're doing, man. Okay. Okay, where are the fucking betting patterns? How do we see? What did I Google? Betting distribution, betting percentage. Okay, yes. I don't like the Action Network for this. I feel like they're a little bit off when we're talking about the betting distribution. Okay, I'm on Vegas Insider. So Ravens Titans is 52. I'm talking spread here, guys. So keep that in mind. Ravens Titans is 52% on the Ravens, 48% on the Titans. A little bit surprised about that. Commanders 46%, Atlanta 54%, Vikings 51%, Bears 49%, Hawks 35%. Bengals 65%, 49ers 80%, Browns 20%, Saints 40%, Texans 60%, Colts 72%, Jags 28%. Ooh, that makes me a little bit nervous as someone who likes the Colts. Panthers 9%, Dolphins 91%. Now keep in mind, these big spreads have been like 91% to 9 for the underdog the whole year. The favorite's been covering all of them. Just keep that in mind before you think about, like, fading the public on one of those ones. Patriots 78%, Raiders 22%, Lions 58%, Bucs 42%, Cardinals 45%, Rams 55%. Good distribution there. Eagles 72%, Jets 28%, Giants 34%, Bills 66%, Chargers 67%, Cowboys 33%. Now, did I bore anyone? Or did you guys find that helpful? Listen, man, my only comment on that is eventually, 13 and a half, 14 and a half, plus 12 and a half, plus 11 and a half. Eventually those underdogs have to cover. I mean, it's just basic mathematics, what we've seen this whole year. Not this whole year, but during my whole time watching NFL, normally a plus 12 will cover more than a minus 12. This year, it's been the complete opposite. So, but I don't necessarily know who the public is on, because a lot of the public gets their bets in Sunday and Saturday. So yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, public has been better this year than normal. They have done. Yeah, and Mike, the betting distribution has been all fucked up this whole year, though. It's been really fucked up this whole year. They're barely getting like the 54, 46, man. They're all over the place. And I do think Vegas is like a little bit off this year. Not that it's easy by any means, but I do feel like they're a little bit off this year. And like, I feel like they should be giving me like 18 when we're talking Panthers Dolphins. I think Vegas is looking at that game and going like, okay, for the last 40 years in the NFL, they would cover the 12 and a half, but this isn't the old NFL anymore. Like, it's just some teams are unstoppable. Prestige with the super chat. Thank you, my man. I appreciate it. Live at MGM, CMC is going on his 14th touchdown every game scoring streak. Why fade that? Especially this week. Minus 175 is still money. It is. I do worry about that, though, because the Browns got a good run defense. But more than likely or not, he gets a touchdown. More likely than not. I didn't know it was 14 straight, though. That's pretty impressive for a running back. That's very impressive for a running back. Yeah, and one of those betting distributions I was a little bit surprised about was the Bengals. I mean, because I know, like, I have a betting channel. Obviously, you guys aren't casual bettors. Like, this is your life. You breathe it, you sweat it like me. You eat it like me, so to speak. I was a little bit surprised more people weren't on the Seahawks. But like I said, like, this doesn't, like, the public places their bets Saturday and Sunday more than they do Tuesday. I mean, that's one reason why I started doing the show on Tuesday. It's because we get in before the lines move, like the 49ers -5. And there's been a lot of instances this year, like the Vikings, when we got them at -3 against the Panthers, ended up like -5. I mean, little bit of differences helps. The injury report is always risky, though. Always fucking risky. Okay. Good questions on Patreon so far. Don't panic. Don't panic. Okay, we need a Discord. I will create a Discord. I will ask for a donation of like $2 though. Because I've had this Patreon for 4 years. Been winning most of the time. I've kept it at $5 the whole time. Like this inflation is getting fucking crazy. They ended up making like $5 into like $2.50. So if you guys will agree for $2 to enter the Discord, you have to be a Patreon member to enter it. I'll create one tonight. We'll see what you guys want to do. I'll leave a post. I'll let you guys know. It's just like, man, like, you shouldn't have to raise a price on something. Like, you shouldn't be forced to raise a price on something. It's fucking crazy, man. Reggie Lawman. Hey, John, what do you think about this 12.5-point teaser? What's up, Reggie? San Fran +3. I like it. Lions +9.5. I like it. Fins -1.5. I like it. Eagles +6. I do like it. Bills -3. I like it. Bengals +10. Yeah, I like it, and I think it's a good use of the 12.5 points. If I had to try to get you worried about something, maybe you could worry about the Bengals if the Bengals don't show up. But I think the Bengals show up and play well. So I don't think you have much to worry about. Right now, to be completely honest. I mean, it is the NFL. Crazy shit happens, but I don't think we're going to see the Panthers beat the Dolphins. We've called crazy upsets before, but don't know if we've seen them this year. We haven't seen too much crazy upsets this year. Van from Vegas. What's up, Van? What do you think about Chargers versus Cowboys? I think it might be a bounce back game for Cowboys, but Chargers coming off bye week. Yeah, man, the bye week is always an interesting conundrum. I think some guys like it more than others. Some guys like it more than others. Like, okay, let me give you an example. What was my fucking train of thought? Man, I'm not a big bye week guy. I bet, if the team's getting healthy, like if Deshaun Watson recovered in his bye week, I'd be bullish about the Browns this week, for instance, even though I love the 49ers. But I do think the bye week is a little bit overrated. So let's throw that out. But I kind of agree with your opinion. I am worried about the Chargers in this game, but I think this game comes down to, can the Chargers interior stop the Dallas run game? Secondly, are the Cowboys going to actually stick with the run? I've been saying all year, I feel like this Cowboys offense, especially their offensive line, is built to run the ball more than it is to throw it. But they seem to be throwing it 50 fucking times a game. So if the Cowboys run the ball, I think they win the game. Now, I know Eckler's back, and that could be a bonus of the bye week. But I think the Cowboys match up well. And I don't know if the Chargers necessarily have a contingency plan to replace Mike Williams. I'm not seeing it. If you guys are like, we hit that Palmer player prop 2 weeks ago, but other than that, I'm not seeing it. And then also, I know Mike McCarthy, I've gotten on him a lot this year. We won a lot of money fading him last week on Sunday night. But am I the only one who is, a little bit worried about Brandon Staley? I don't know how much of the Chargers you watched, Van, or everyone at home has watched. I'll tell you what, against the Vikings, he tried to throw the game away. Against the Dolphins, he threw the game away, but I'll give him a pass on that one. All 4 games I watched, especially that Titans game, Brandon Staley was the reason why they lost. Someone go watch that Titans game if you're thinking about betting big on the Chargers. So that's why I think the boys could have a bounce-back performance, because I don't know if the Chargers can get out of their coach's way. Even against the Raiders, they were up like fucking 20 points in the second half against Aiden O'Connell. Aiden O'Connell took like 9 sacks, and they still tried to throw it away. They still tried to throw it away. The Raiders were 1 play from tying that game. And that's the Raiders. So I'm a little bit worried about it. City Bird, what about these bad weather unders? Is it bait? City, send which one specifically in the chat, because I need more details. Don't send another super chat if you don't want to. But send the unders you're thinking about in the chat. Because I've been hearing a lot of talk about bad weather, like Minnesota, Chicago. But also the last time everyone was trying to scare us about bad weather, like in Washington Bills, it wasn't a factor at all. Or in Eagles Bucs, it wasn't a factor in either of these 2 games. So I need to see specific evidence, specific games, specific weather. Because I didn't see anything out of the ordinary. Listen, I don't think the Vikings-Bears is a slam dunk over. It was because the win, but I don't necessarily think I would bet under either. So just give me an example, and then I'll give you my thoughts. Time served. Oh, with the $20 super chat. Thank you, my man. Thank you. Lawson, so enjoy your content, brother. At first I said, who is this clown? But dude, I was wrong. Thanks for the info. Yo, no problem, man. I appreciate it, man. And here's my thing. Here's my thing, man. I'm actually excited about football. So I think people think like I'm on like cocaine or something because I have a little bit of energy when I talk about football, but it's just because I really like it. Like, it's my thing. It's always been my thing. Always enjoyed it. Always like coming on and talking to you guys as well. So I appreciate the donation, my friend. I appreciate it. Okay. Let's see what City Burt is saying. All the Midwest games, just your overall thoughts. We've seen Snow Owls go over. Okay. So let's see. Okay, we're I like it. We're judging weather patterns by animals. Probably more accurate than the meteorologists. Like, I'm not being sarcastic. I think animals actually understand the fucking weather better than the scientists at this point. Okay, so let's look at the over-unders. So you're talking Midwest. Okay, Vikings Bears 43.5 is pretty low in that game. Like, someone would need to give me like it's going to be like 30-mile-per-hour winds for me to say bet the under in that. Seahawks Bengals. Yeah, I did pick under on the Seahawks Bengals when I did the video. It's at 45. It's just both quarterbacks. I know Burrow doesn't have the strongest arm, but I don't know. Is it snowing, or like sometimes snow works in an advantage? Like, I've seen Tom Brady put up 60 points against the Titans in 2 feet of snow. So, yeah, like I said, need a little bit more details. Okay, what's another one? Panthers, Dolphins, that's not Midwest. Yeah, those are about the only 2 games, right? Yeah, man, I just don't know if there's anything we can get. Like, what? Yeah, man, I'm not sure on that. I think both of those are low to start with. Like, I don't think Vegas is getting flat-footed on those. I don't think he's getting flat-footed on those. Brian Webb with the $5 super chat. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate it, my guy. Hey, Lawson, let's get this money. What's your opinion about the Titans, Raiders, Bears, Saints game? And I love my Bengals and Colts this week. I do like the Colts this week. And normally our betting pattern these last 4 years would be the bet the Jags, correct? Like, that's kind of what we do. We know when to bet them. I just don't think this is a great situation for them. And I don't think the 2 weeks in London is going to help. Like I said, I have no evidence to prove that. I just don't think it's going to help in that game. And I think the Colts are doing the little things right. My problem with the Jags this year, even though I'm a big Lawrence guy, a lot of people are blaming Lawrence for the slow start of the season. There does seem like there are some problems with the Jags play calling. We know Peterson, however you want to say the name, he rescinded his duties. And, that's all well and good, but it does seem like the play calling has taken a step back, and their defense hasn't had a pass rush the whole year. They did hit Josh Allen a few times last week, but, turf or the whole Bills team getting injured, I don't know how we judge it. So I do think this Colts team will stop the Jags run, and then it's on Lawrence's shoulders. And if you stop Ridley, I'm not as high on Kirk and Zay Jones. I think Zay Jones is out anyways as other people. So I do think the Colts are able to run the football. And I think that's going to be the big difference. Saints game, I like the Texans. I'm kind of on a different type of wavelength than other people. One thing I am worried about is Carr's shoulder. Now, did he throw it better against the Patriots? Absolutely. He did throw it better than the week before, but I wasn't all that impressed with it. I know kicking New England's ass in New England 31-0 is nothing to smug your nose at. It's just, I'm not sold on it. And I also think this game will come down to, can the Texans run it? I think the Texans are due to run it. They finally got their offensive line healthy last week, and Atlanta's been good on defense. People weren't giving Atlanta enough credit last week. Everyone wanted to bet the Texans because they beat the Steelers. I asked everyone to proceed with caution, but I told you I would be back on the Texans bandwagon, and I also think the Texans will win the turnover battle. I mean, this defense, they're young. They do have some weaknesses. Could the defensive tackles and interior linebackers be better? Of course. And I know the Saints are going to run it, and they're going to run it pretty good. But I think C.J. Stroud makes more plays than Carr, and I don't think Carr is necessarily all that healthy. And I do think home field advantage will play a part. Like, the Texans came out and smoked the Steelers at home. It is a tough one, man. I am not betting it, though, because I still respect the Saints. Bears, I think – okay, man. I was pretty much the only person in mankind who had the Bears to cover against the Commanders. Like, listen, I didn't say the Bears would win the game, but I thought they could cover, and I felt like the Bears could cover against the Broncos. I was probably the only one in this whole fucking world who thought those two things would happen. But also, I do think we need to take a deep breath and relax a little bit and understand that this Bears defense is absolutely decimated in the secondary. I know there's no Justin Jefferson, but they still got Hawkinson, they still got Addison, and they still got Kirk Cousins. The problem with the Vikings have been protection this year. They just haven't pass blocked even close to good enough. The Bears defensive line doesn't have enough dogs or people who can win individual battles. I don't think they do, man. And I think the Vikings are able to throw it. Now, I think our boy Justin Fields will have a good game. Like, I think he matches up well against this Vikings defense, but we need to remember, man, this Vikings defense is incrementally getting better every single week. They really are, man. And I'm happy with the progress as a Vikings fan. I haven't been happy with the offense, but this is a get-right game. And this reminds me of the Carolina game. Like, I think Vikings are good against these below-average teams. And Bears are below average. Panthers are below average. So I like the Vikings in that game. Raiders, man, I'm not betting that. I'm not betting that. That game is chlamydia to me. I want no part of it. I don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. Absolutely not. Like, listen, Brian, I'm going to come to your fucking house and lock up your phone or wherever you place bets if you try to bet that game. Like, I don't know what's going to fucking happen. Do you? Who the fuck knows what's going to happen in the Raiders-Patriots game? I watched the Patriots last night. So I watched every Patriots game. I watched every Raiders game. I mean, they're both really, really poor teams. And honestly, at this point, they're poorly coached teams as well. Titans, I like the Titans, man. I do like the Titans. Like I said on Instagram before the Jags-Falcons game, turf is going to be a factor. The field conditions will be a factor, and I think these field conditions favor the Titans in this game. Now, the Titans' offensive line is absolutely terrible. Are they getting a little bit better? Yes, but not enough for me to be like, oh, yeah, put 10,000 on the Titans. But I do think this Titans defense can win the battle against this Ravens offensive line, and you see when the Ravens aren't able to run the ball, I don't think they have enough options. Like, is Odell Beckham going to play? Even if he plays, he's been a borderline non-factor. And if you're able to take out Zay Flowers out of this Ravens soup, there's not a whole lot they can do. And I feel like the Ravens have been really loose with the football. 7-8 fumbles so far this year, kind of like the Vikings. The Vikings have fucking 9 fumbles so far this year, lost 7 of them. So I do think when we look at the Ravens, we need to, Brian, think of it. If you're an offensive coordinator and you're playing the Tennessee Titans and Vrabel's defense, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? I'll tell you what I want to do. I want to spread them out, and I want to fucking throw it deep. I want to test their corners, and I want to throw it 30 to 35 times. And I'm not trying to test Autry and Jeffrey Simmons. I'm not trying to test their linebackers and interior defensive line. It's just not going to win that battle, and that's what you got to do against the Titans. You got to slang it, and you got to slang it often. Are the Ravens going to be able to do that? I don't think so, man. I don't think so. So that's where I'm at. Yeah, so I want a little bit of a rant there. Yeah, well, Zach Wilson ain't touching anything except older women. To the guy in the comment section. Yeah, that Ravens offense just isn't good. Like, I've been trying to say it the whole fucking year. And, remember during the offseason, we're going to spread it out. This is going to be Lamar Jackson's Louisville offense. He's going to throw it all the time. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I just wasn't seeing the signs in training camp. I haven't seen the signs there. And I'm not saying the Titans are a great football team, but in poor field conditions and Derrick Henry starting to get going, Titans are getting better play calling this year. It's not something I want to ride my weekend on, but it's not something I want to shy away from. Yeah, man. Yeah, no. I do agree the Ravens out. Yeah, but Lauren, we both had Pittsburgh, but didn't we say, like, Pittsburgh stinks, but home field advantage? And the Ravens making mistakes, man. They've been making a lot of mistakes this year. I don't think they're all that good, man. If they beat the Titans, they beat the Titans. But okay, let me see if I missed any Patreon questions. Patreon bets will be up, thinking about 10 o'clock Eastern tonight. I got through most of the injury reports. I didn't get through everything. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. Yeah, Steelers are going to get beat, man. They're going to get beat. Michael Mann, do you want to come on? Lauren, do you want to come on? Just we got to wrap it up quicker than last time. We went like over 2 hours last time. So if you guys want to come on for 15 minutes, let me know. Also, leave your question in the YouTube chat. When I come back, I'll answer it. I'm going to just use the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back. Let me send those invites. Yeah, man. So hope everyone has a good weekend. Hot as fucking here. Thank you, David Rint, for joining on Patreon. Thank you, Dude69, for joining on Patreon. Thank you, Ben Vaughn. Thank you, TJ Peel. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys a lot. Let's get to Lauren's email address. I'm gonna leak it. Joking. John, I am looking forward to the game I'm looking forward to most from an interesting perspective, to answer some questions perspective, I would say Texans Saints. But the game I'm looking forward to watching most is Lions Bucs. I want to see what these Lions do on the road. Bengals Hawks is close, but I want to see this Lions Bucs game. I want to see what Baker does. I want to see if this Lions defense is as good as I thought they would. I want to see if they're able to cover without Branch in the lineup, because the Lions have been covering really good. I'm not talking about covering spreads. I'm talking about in the secondary. So, yeah, man, those are games I'm looking forward to. Falcons, Commanders. Why haven't anyone asked about that today? The bet of the week on Patreon last week was Falcons to beat the Texans when we faded everyone. That was the bet of the week last week. I'm surprised not a lot of Commanders. I'm surprised we didn't get a lot of Commanders Falcons talk. A lot of Browns talk, man. And I felt like that was interesting. Okay, so let's get to perfect rotation. Lawson, please talk me out of putting 500 on Detroit -3. Well, my friend, I don't know what $500 means to you. So, but I'm assuming it's maybe double your average bet. I can't talk you out of it. I am. Listen, the injury I was worried most about this week for the Lions was Sam Laporta, the rookie tight end who's been absolutely balling. So it looks like he's going to play. He's got a calf, but even if he gets limited snaps, they got Brock White, who's an excellent blocking tight end, who might even be able to add a few other wrinkles that they haven't used yet. And this Bucs defense is really good, man. And they're very, very talented. But do they ever live up to their talent level? I mean, Brady's Super Bowl season they did. Last year they didn't. And this year they've been disappointing at times. And the Lions grind on teams, man. The Lions haven't played an A- game, but they play a B game and they keep pushing on you. They keep the physicality up and they keep coming at you. So I can't talk you out of it. And I do feel like Goff is slowly getting better every single week. And every single week people get nervous about the Lions. Like, for instance, Falcons. People got nervous that the Falcons would beat them. Like, yeah, man, it's just a lot of people are doubting the Lions. And I don't know if we've seen anything to prove it wrong. Like, I'm not saying they would beat the Eagles' ass or anything like that. People act like I'm saying that. I just think they're a good team. I'll be right back. Then we're getting the guest on. Got to use the bathroom. Just give me 2 minutes. Agora, porque eles podem ser frio. Okay, that's good. Bring it out. Okay. Okay. Yeah, we need Jeopardy music, man. I do need a music for when we go. Fuck, man. 1 second. Fuck. Fuck. Okay, let's get to fucking A, man. How's everyone doing? Okay, let me get. How can I? Okay.
There you go. You had it.
Okay, we're good now. We're good. How's everyone doing? What games you want to talk about?
What's up?
Not bad.
I'm going to start off by saying this because I've had 8 bazillion messages. So, Houston, well, let's start with this. CJ Stroud has not faced a defense as good as the Saints yet. The Saints have not faced a quarterback as good as CJ Stroud yet, personally.
I think the Falcons' defense is better than the Saints.
No.
Not on paper, you pop in Madden, yeah, the Saints are better.
Well,
but if you look at what's actually been transpiring on the field, I mean, you know, the Falcons, yes, they got to play Carolina like the Saints. But this Falcons defense has been playing good, man.
I mean, yes, but listen, Saints do 2 things really well. They expose bad wide receiver cores, and they confuse the hell out of quarterbacks.
And there's no Tank Dell. So
yeah, that's a terrible matchup for the Texans. I really like the Saints to win this week.
I do too.
Yeah.
I think without Tank Dell, that Nico Collins is really, is their other weapon, right? Aside from the tight end.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to be too much. It's going to be too much from them. It's a dome. The Saints are used to playing in a dome.
They're going to
What's that?
The Saints are going to blitz the hell out of Stroud too. I have no doubt about that.
Yeah. I just think with Marshawn Lattimore and Cam Jordan, you call them old and geriatric all you want. They are still a top 5 defense in this league. And CJ Stroud has not really faced anyone like that yet.
Thank you. I agree.
Top 5?
They have
7.
Who have
maybe 7. They're good. They are a good defense. They have held
5?
every game. 7, maybe.
I agree. I mean, yeah, I can't argue it.
They're up there. And listen, but on the flip side, like I said, Stroud or the Saints, I don't think have really faced as good of a quarterback as CJ Stroud. So on both sides, I think if it's only a 1.5, which is what I got it at, I think the Saints are going to win pretty comfortably. They're pretty good against rookie quarterbacks. Even though I'm a big fan of CJ Stroud, I really am. I think that Carolina effed up big time. So, but I'm a big fan of CJ Stroud. I really am. I do. I just don't think they're going to pull off a win against Saints. Not with Alvin Kamara back and running all over the place. You can just see how dynamic that team is when he's around. I don't see Houston pulling this one off. I'm not a homer. I'm just saying what I'm saying.
Saints have played Mac Jones, Bryce Young, Ryan Tannehill, and Jordan Love.
Like I said, this will be the best quarterback they have faced.
But I'm not going to die on the hill. It's just listen, I don't think the Saints are all that good. Because they beat the hell out of the Patriots last week. Credit to them. They did what they needed to do. They can't control what quarterbacks they face. But yeah, man, Texans have been good at home this year, so we'll see. They've been winning, pulling rabbits out of hats. Like, I kind of heard a lot of the same stuff the week when they played the Steelers. And then, like you said, tanked out. It's going to be a problem.
It is going to be a problem.
How Dalton Schultz does this game. Dalton Schultz player props over. How about that?
I don't know, man. I think CJ Stroud is going to have a long day.
Mike, you don't think I got a good read on the Texans? I picked, besides the first week, which I felt like they should have covered. Credit to Lauren, though. I picked
Baltimore.
Predicted every Texans game right.
I trust you. I think the way I already said, I think the way to the two things you don't want problems in when you're playing the Saints is you don't want receivers who can't win one-on-one, and you do not want a rookie quarterback, because the Saints are so unpredictable, so dynamic in their blitzes and the way they attack you. It's just it's too much. Like I don't think Stroud's gonna have a good day at all in this game.
Yeah, it's just the last thing I'll say. I'm still worried about Derek Carr's AC joint too.
That's a fair point.
We did see him. Now, Lauren, you watched the Saints-Patriots game, right? Now, I watched it last, so I did see him throw over 20 yards, like maybe 2 or 3 times. But it did look a little bit shaky. But that really is my only question, because I can't disagree with any of the points. Although, like, all right, guys, like Robert Woods can get open. Like, I'm not saying he's going to like trash like Lattimore or anything like that, but you know, Robert Woods.
let's not get carried away over here. Your boy Robert Woods would literally have a contract the rest of his life if you were his agent. I'm pretty sure.
But like, listen, man, like he gets open, and that's what you need. And you know he's going to be in the right places. You know, you look at Mike's team. You know, they run around. Listen, I don't think Bryce Young's any good. Well, let's just transition to Carolina, Miami.
Why are we talking about this? Let's move on. Next game.
But, like, look at – I'm not saying –
Because I'll be honest, Miami wins easy. You know, they do. They're going to win. Miami's going to win easy. I'm sorry, Michael. But they are – you know,
Colts and Jaguars. Austin, I got
part of us in our hearts thought they might cover against Detroit last week. Thank you, Michael, for that one.
We gave the game away. But okay, the only thing I will say that's positive about the Panthers this week, Miles Sanders is out, so we don't have to watch him, which is like that's the biggest W we've taken this year.
God bless us, everyone.
But the offensive line's bad, Mike, and it regressed. Like that's part of the problem, man. Like,
well, they're all hurt. You have 2 backup guards in, and then the left tackle plays completely declined. Ike Ekwonu's not playing well, and then like at that point, 3 out of your 5 linemen are bad. It's a shit situation. Oh, you know how injury prone the Panthers are? So every single starter from week 1 in the secondary is not playing in this game.
So we talked about that, and you were like, "Oh, it's not going to be a problem."
You know, that was when one player is out, you can survive with that. But you're telling me I got to have 4 backups, all backups in against Tyreek Hill? Like that's
no. And Jalen Waddle.
Lauren, you think the Seahawks beat the Bengals?
I'm staying away from the game. Bengals are. I'm not betting the Bengals until I can trust them again, and they haven't proven enough to me yet.
Y'all know how I do. Listen, this is the time of the year where where Cincinnati gets hot.
I agree.
This is it. They start out slow. A few weeks in, Burrows has never really had a camp. The first year, the ACL. The second year, the appendix. This year, the calf. He's really never had an actual camp or preseason, any of that. So it explains why they start off slow and then get hot. I say every year, they're like a fine wine. They will do fine. They will still win this division. And I'm telling you right now, the one thing I'm scared cared about is Kenneth Walker with this. The line's only 2.5. Cincinnati should be able to win this by a field goal. If they don't, it's because Kenneth Walker ran all over them. But I'm telling you right now, from now on, Cincy will be very hot. This is what. Did you see Jamar Chase? I mean, it was just sickening. Absolutely. No T. Higgins, no problem. And let's not discredit Arizona. They beat this Dallas Cowboys team that everybody wants to rave about, that we said last week. I came on this show and said San Francisco will beat the shit out of Dallas. I don't care. 3.5.
Lauren, you and I both said it.
Yeah, we all said it.
Mm-hmm.
They will beat the shit. And I was saying 3.5 is absolutely, or 3 or whatever. Everyone's worried about the hook. They're going to win by 20.
Yeah.
And they did. They're a much better team. And I'll tell you, I got San Fran this week -5.5.
Oh, I do too. PJ Walker is going to turn that ball over.
Oh, God. It's going to be a disaster. It's going to be an absolute massacre.
Let me tell you, he's overwhelmed in this one.
And I know we've talked, Lawson's already kind of pounded this Cleveland game because of the line movement and all that. So another thing I'm going to say, and I'm probably going to be all out by myself on this because, I know everybody's loves for some reason Baker Mayfield in Tampa. Detroit -3, I think, in all honesty, is what's the word I'm looking for? No. It's not even just that. What it really is, Detroit -3, it is almost like a slap in the face.
Oh.
Well, anyway, yeah, man. And pretty much I feel like that. And there's a lot of people picking Bucs trying to scare me away.
Detroit -3 is disrespectful.
If it weren't on the road, I would be all in. But yeah, let's be honest.
I don't care. It's not. It's 77 degrees or 85 degrees in Tampa. Detroit -3, I think, is disrespectful to a team that's that well rounded right now.
Yeah. So Lauren, let's talk about the Monday night game before I go, because I was surprised we didn't get more people talking about that. Cowboys Chargers.
About my Justin Herbert, my boy Justin.
It's a tough game to pick.
So here's what I'm going to say about that. The Chargers will be ahead at halftime. They will. The Chargers will be ahead at halftime. They will be, if you want to bet them the first half. I know some people do that. And I'm going to say one thing about this bet live betting shit, guys. One thing I'm going to tell you guys is just to be careful of. I would suggest you do it during a damn commercial break because we're 45 seconds behind of the actual show, the actual game. So the Chargers will be ahead at halftime. Whether or not Brandon Staley values his job enough to keep them ahead to win is another story. I'm on the Chargers at home with the points. I think that Justin Herbert is too dynamic to as long as they can keep their lead at halftime, they'll be fine. If somehow, some reason, Staley F's something up, because I'll be honest with you, is anyone really impressed with Dak Prescott?
No.
I'm not.
They got to run the ball, and they're not running it. So,
and I'm not impressed with Dak Prescott. And Khalil Mack is, I do not think them losing Trayvon Diggs was almost like taking Christmas away from a little kid. Since that happened, it just was a real blow. He's having a hard time getting it to his receivers. The running game just is almost obsolete right now. And if anybody can put up points, it's the Chargers. So I know that they're America's team and they just got embarrassed by San Fran and they're going to come back. And I'll be honest with you, I know Brandon Staley, his job is probably on the line here. Mike McCarthy's no offensive genius either. So let's call a spade, right? Like, he's
I'm worried about Brandon Staley. That's why I can't bet the game. That's why I wanted to get your guys' opinion.
We're all worried about Brandon Staley. So if he values his job, he will keep his lead at halftime and win this game.
You remember?
They'll be ahead at halftime.
I don't even refer to him throwing away our 28-3 bet from last playoffs because there's so much stuff this season. And even in the Raiders game, he almost got a penalty because it's just, anyways, I can go on all day. Like, there's so much information about him. It's insane. But anyways, Mike.
They have, at least their offense in the Chargers is minus Mike Williams. I don't really think is going to be that big of a deal. Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler coming back is huge for the Chargers right now. If anything, they're just going to outscore them. And they're getting points at home. So if anything, they're going to outscore them. Point blank.
It's just hard if Dallas gets up in a game because then their pass rush is really good. But if Dallas is playing from behind, they've been shit. So,
horrible.
That's
horrible.
The issue, so.
I'm not impressed with Dallas this year. I'm not impressed with Dak. I think if he had an opportunity to prove himself in his contract, it would have been last week, and he laid an egg. So, no. They might be better off with Cooper Rush.
Wow.
Just saying.
I don't know.
Just saying.
When I want to bring up that Lawson, I think Lawson had this as a money pick this week. Colts at Jags. I actually think the Jags got this.
Fair enough.
Wow.
And I mentioned this week 1 with the Panthers and Falcons. There are just some areas where certain teams cannot play well, where they just have a kryptonite for. And for the Colts, I don't know what it is, but that place is Jacksonville. Go look at the amount of beds that the Colts have crapped on in Jacksonville. It is ridiculous. They haven't won there in like 10 years. And the Jags have been ass. So that is a serious achievement that they cannot win in Jacksonville. I'm serious. Go look this up. It's crazy. So, like
for the last 7 years or something.
And this is
it really is. It's like the last 7 years.
The Jags have been the number 1 pick multiple times, and the Colts are constantly choking there. There's something going on with that. I don't know if it's the heat. I don't know if it's just mental, but the Colts do not play whenever they go.
So we're talking about the Minshew Bowl right now.
I don't care, man. I'm not
playing good football. I'm not a fan, but he's playing pretty good.
He's not playing bad. And Jonathan Taylor's back. I know that they don't win in Jacksonville. I looked up that stat. It was 7 years or something since the last time. It's been a long time.
You so right. I am not touching that.
It's been a long time. And what's the line? What are the Colts getting?
4.5.
Yeah, 4.5.
4.5. I'm on it. I'm on the 4.5.
So,
huh?
I'm on
the 4.5. I don't know that they're going to win.
But yeah, I've been pacing around my house all day deciding whether the better or not. But it does feel like when they went to the Ravens and the Colts were plus 8.5. I know 4 is a different ball game, but it feels good. And they're running the ball good. And I don't know if the Jags can stop the run.
They're running the ball with Zach Moss. Jonathan Taylor hasn't even got going yet. So
I watched the Jags Colts game from week 1, and I actually felt it pretty good in that one. All things considered, I felt like they should have won with more.
And I'll be honest with you, nobody drops more passes than Calvin Ridley. God bless him. I still love the kid.
No, but the Ravens.
Oh.
If you didn't watch that, you want to see some dropsicles? Oh my God.
Talking good receivers, yeah, he
that was terrible.
But that's what the problem with the Jags was even last year. We were saying it, led the league in drops, and even started the first 3 weeks this year. They were dropping a ton, and everyone's like, oh, Lawrence isn't playing good. I go watch the games, and I'm like, no, he's actually playing good. It's just these guys are dropping balls. So,
now, you listen, Jacksonville coming back from London's also going to be a factor. So as much as we don't know.
True or not, because they've done that trip so many times, I just don't know how much it's going to affect them anymore. They're used to that. It's not like a random team coming back, that's never done this before. They're used to playing in Jacksonville. They're used to them to come back and do this.
So I gotta go. So one last game I want to ask your guys' opinion about because we didn't talk about this game. No one talked. Which game do you want to talk about? Cards, Rams. I think I mentioned that before. Then everyone just didn't want to talk about it. Jets, Eagles. No one wanted to talk about it. Texans, Saints. We covered, so that's good. Falcons, Commanders. Anyone want to talk about any of those games before we go?
I mean, I don't have the guts to bet on any of those teams personally.
Listen, this whole thing that he never loses at home, I guess, is a real factor, but I think it might end this week.
They're not even winning good. They're literally just getting. I don't want to. But it's not like they're dominating people at home. They're squeaking them out. And Ritter has not played so great in these. He played okay last week, but up to that point, he has not played well.
He kind of have the performance out of any quarterback class.
Listen, though, the more he plays, the worse he is. Like, he's not even the one winning the games for these people, for this team. Like, the more he plays, the worse he is. Eventually, doesn't that catch up with you? Ritter.
He was solid.
Well, he did have the best quarterback performance of last week. Listen, you guys are right about Ritter, but
congratulations.
You
played like a first-string quarterback for the first time ever.
See,
probably, yeah.
Desmond Ritter versus Ron Rivera is not a matchup I want to touch. That could go either way.
Well, yeah, with the Falcons, just to give some context on it, I felt like the Falcons dominated the game. Like, that's why I didn't really have too much of a big pushback for your Saints argument this week, because the Falcons really did dominate that game. They fumbled 2 times in Texans territory. It wasn't Ritter. But, yeah, you do wonder if Ritter's going to be able to play good again. But I also do wonder I'm not liking the Sam Howell matchup against Atlanta's D. The problem with Atlanta is, yes, they got good stuffers like Grady Jarrett, Calais Campbell. But, yeah, I wanted your guys' opinion because, Falcons need a blitz to get a pass rush. So that's an issue.
One last thing I wanted to mention before I forget, because I know we're going to sign off soon, is let's not forget that Jared Goff lost to Tampa in the Super Bowl. Just don't forget that.
Well.
The same. I think 3 is a little disrespectful for that team. I don't care.
I agree. I do want to get on that because a lot of people are cautioning me about that. Felt like that was the pick of the week, but
what, Detroit?
Yeah. Although on the road, I respect it, but that's how you get -3 in this. Like, they're not going to give us they're not going to give us like Lions -3 against the Falcons every week. We're not going to get that every week. So remember
with Mike Evans being banged up, and that Baker's guy, and let's be honest, their run game kind of fell to shit. And I think we've seen what David Montgomery's doing. You know what I mean? Like, I know they've got weapons in Detroit. I don't care if Amon-Ra, it's Josh Reynolds, if it's the kid that just came back from suspension, the tight end who's blowing up all over, the Laporta kid.
Awesome.
I mean, Goff doesn't even really have to do all that much.
He hasn't even played his A game yet. Like, maybe against the Panthers. Like, you saw the games. He was like C+ mode most of the
And I'm taking Jared Goff over Baker Mayfield. I just am.
And Baker's actually played decent this year. It's the same thing with the Bucs. They're in 3rd and 9 every single time, and so.
I will say,
They don't screw around in the red zone.
Huh?
They don't fall apart in the red zone, Detroit. They score.
Yeah, I have to say, I was not impressed with Detroit's defense last week against Carolina, and that's kind of like, I guess if you're a Bucs fan looking for a route to victory, like, I think you do have a solid shot in the shootout at getting, maybe not a solid shot, but I think you can at least compete with them if it goes to a shootout. So,
can I get one opinion on one thing before we all go, though? Just because it seems to be a big deal with this whole 7 is the Rams Arizona game. Does that seem, what side is everybody on? Because I did want to talk about that for a second.
I honestly don't know.
Nobody has an opinion.
No, it's up to
There's
7.
no James Conner. James Conner's gone. He's out. So,
That's
you know,
benefit.
now you got to rely on Josh Dobbs, which maybe that might be a good rushing prop. But I don't know.
Yeah, I'm
I
teasing
mean,
the Rams down this week.
you're going
So.
to tease the Rams and Eagles. You think the same? That's also another 7.
Lauren, but like I'm so past touching these Eagles games because
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I don't know how much of you. I don't know how much you watch them, but I do not feel like they're playing good football, and I do feel like our Rams pick should have hit last week. It's just they do enough, but I feel like when the Eagles get to the red zone, you talked about the Lions have a plan. If I feel like when the Eagles get to the red zone, like they don't want to fucking score,
No.
and
Want to burn
so,
clock?
no, man.
Yeah, they. Mhm.
Here's a good prop for you guys before we sign off. Everyone's always asking for props. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Stephon Diggs, I think it's 83, over 83 yards. Put it, I mean, take it to the bank. It's free money.
All right.
I mean,
Yeah.
the Giants have given up 163 yards like a game. So,
Yeah. Why are the Giants on primetime again? Can we unflex that?
I know.
the third
They
time.
said they were
The
going to
third
fix.
time in 3 weeks. The third time in 3 weeks. Terrible.
It's bad, man. It's not good for business, man. And,
No.
like,
No.
Why?
Listen, they're giving baseball playoffs like a little bit of a helping push. You know, putting the
Oh,
Broncos
it's definitely.
down.
Daniel Jones isn't.
Yeah.
Who's gonna watch this? Like this
Guys,
is.
I'm going to be honest. Like, I'm not going to watch the game. Like, I'm going to watch the 40-minute cut. Like, I watch every game. I'm just not going to do what I did last night
Yeah.
because it's, yeah.
Dude, Giants might be playing. I mean, people say the Panthers suck, but the Giants have gotten railed every game outside of 2 quarters against the Cardinals. Like, I mean that. They have gotten their ass kicked like every minute of this year outside of 2 quarters.
And who else gives up a lot through the air? Are the Cardinals. So the line for Joe Burrows is 217 yards. The Cards give up a ton through the air. So I would take the over on Burrow over 217 yards all day.
Against the Hawks, yeah, and I don't think the Hawks pass rush is coming. That's the last thing I'm going to
Yeah.
say. I don't know about you guys, but
no, you're gonna beat them through the air.
It's like people had a metamorphosis because they watched Monday night and they watched the Seahawks sack Daniel Jones, and they just completely threw out the rest of the Seahawks defensive performances. Anyways, we'll end it there. So Burrow over 217. I like that more than the Diggs one. Blowouts are. I like that Burrow over 217 and a half, though.
All right, guys.
All right. Have a great night.
I love it. It's 217. It's actually a lot of value, and it gives you a good payout.
Awesome.
Especially against, especially against. All right, bye.
All right, see you, Lauren. See you, Mike. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Patreon bets will be up at 10:30 Eastern time tonight. Thank you for joining. Good show tonight. Almost to the 2-hour mark. We'll let it go. Have a great one. I'll answer one last question. Do you think the 49ers will take the Browns this week? And what do you think the score would be? Thanks, Joe. Joe, I would guess the score would be 23-7. I think it would be like 20-7, 23-7. Like, I don't think the 49ers are going to go full bloodthirsty kick-ass mode. And I respect the Browns defense. Hit the like button, share the videos. Hope you guys have a great weekend.